Vale, pues buenas tardes de nuevo. Como decía, vamos a dar...
Right, as I said, we're going to carry on with the sessions for today. Right, we're now going to start with this session, which is related to IT systems in education, IT systems. Carlos Martinez and Daniel Ibarra are going to speak. Carlos has got a degree in geography and has got a master in secondary education. At present, he's doing a doctorate in training for teacher training in the University of Murcia. His research lines, main research lines, are natural risks, geography, population in geography. Daniel Ibarra has got a degree in geography with a master tiger. He is doing a doctorate in the Department of Geography at the University of Murcia, which is related to coastal dynamics, and he's also a geographer in a company in Seville. So, Carlos, whenever you want.
Bueno, lo va a decir él, pero la ponencia se...
Right, actually, he was going to say, but we're talking about here the WMS, which is a geographic application for teaching in spatial sciences. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks a lot for inviting me to be here. We're going to present a didactic proposal which is related to the WebMaster services. Then we're talking about spatial sciences. I'm Carlos Martinez, as the moderator said. Daniel Ibarra is my companion, my colleague here, and Jose Rubio is the other person. We're all from the geography department from the University of Murcia. Our aim here is to, as we said, to get a didactic unit for the WMS using gvSIG in this case for disciplines which have a spatial character. We want to go a little bit further and not only leave it something theoretical, which is what we've done so far, but we want to make it more concrete and make an applicable proposal, something which we can be there and can be used as a benchmark. The approaches, therefore, would be... I'm sorry about so much text here, but I had a problem with the format of the presentation. I apologize for that. I'm afraid this should have also been animated with Flash, but there you go. Sorry. Now, we start off with the idea that the paradigm, psychopedagogical paradigm, is mainly related to the CIT use in education. And why? We're trying to relate education to the existing socio-cultural activity. A student lives together with the television, with the computer, with internet, with video games. So we've got an education which doesn't take these things into account. In the end, is going to be a very old-fashioned way of teaching. So that's why we think that the CITs are extremely important. What happens that the special discipline, the most emblematic CIT will be the SIG, the SIG. Now then, we get the feeling that the SIG the teachers are frightened about it because of the lack of updating, because they don't have enough training in this ongoing education which the teachers should have. Because usually a teacher in his or her training as a teacher is not being trained how to use a SIG, and especially if they are giving a subject which isn't specifically related to geography. So if it wants to learn on its own way, then of course the teacher could be very, very, very surprised and find it very, very difficult. So what we think is that it's not really difficult. We've got to break this barrier. And so what we propose is in practice, what we're going to actually present now is to use the WMSs, because they've already got a layer, so we don't need to create a layer for them. And from there, then we can put it into practice. We'll take a look at this a little bit by bit. The starting point is we've got lots of materials and resources. Why? Because practically all the educational centres have got an IT centre, an IT department with internet connection, and also with a gvSIG and connection, which is free. What we're going to use in this programme then is very user-friendly for the teacher and for the student. We don't want to make it complicated. Obviously, we want to make this as simple as possible so that it's a useful tool for teaching. So what we thought is that this is going to increase the teacher's potential and learning potential. We don't need storage by the user, and it's going to mean there's going to be a better flow of the class. The class is going to flow better. I had more information which is put on this slide, but I'm afraid it doesn't come out here. Sorry, let's see. Yeah, that's a little bit better, thanks. Look, anyway, I'm going to keep talking even if the things don't appear on here. Ah, of course, right, it was in the wrong place. Great, thanks, that's much better like that. Ah, righty-ho. Oh, anyway. So the didactic proposal, what we've got here, we're going to centre on biology and geology. We want to break away from the stereotype of a SIG being used only in geography. We think there are many more subjects which have got spatial feature where it can be used. And we're going to take a look at this now, haven't we? We've talked about students from 15, 16 years of age come around to the GSC level, and we're talking about primary. In the primary stage, we could be used, but we think that it's got less potential because the student doesn't have prior scientific knowledge to be able to get as much out of possible from the SIG as he can do. And then we would take a look at GSCEs. It could be possible, but during the GSCs at O-levels, of course, it's all related to entering the university and doing A-levels. So we don't give it enough emphasis for doing these types of things. So then perhaps the best stage would be around this age, 15, 16, where they're coming up with the GCSEs. So the curriculum, the block we've got is a second block, and it's called Earth, a planet in eternal change, always changing. The curriculum appears, it's published in the official gazettes, in both national. This is also highlighted by the organic law, and then each autonomous community has to develop its own curriculum. But as we know, it's going to be within the same framework. We've used the national curriculum, which can be applied throughout Spain. We've got the organic law for improving teaching, which is called the LOMCE in Spanish. It's only been around for the past couple of years, and it's got a very uncertain future as well, because all the political parties of the opposition, well, almost all of them, have promised that if they arrive in the next legislation, they're going to get rid of it. So with its uncertainty, what we're prepared to do is not take a look at this and to stay with the old system, which is more traditional. So the approach that we're taking would be to be more specific now, to draw up a list of WMSs, and relate them with a list of curriculum contents of this thematic block. We do a concrete proposal. From there is the teacher who can either use whatever they want. The teacher can then use whatever they want. So here we've got a synthetic table here. And we take a look at the left-hand side, we can see this curriculum, the different sub-contents. We're talking about, for example, history of the earth, modelling of land relief. And we take a look at each, what's included in the description. As we're going to take a look at them one by one, I'm not going to discuss this any more at the present. And Danielle is going to explain a little bit more about how we can take a look at each of these sub-contents.
Good afternoon. Within the curricular contents that we have presented here in that table, we have the curricular contents. This is the first one, which is modeling of the Earth relief. And we have a web map service of the Guadalquivir and then we thought that it could be a good idea to do that. There are processes that can also be found in other processes. We can study the morphoclimatic and other desertic areas, and we overlap a topographical map. Here we have the region of Andalusia, and then we see how the basins have different field reliefs, different land relief, and this is quite realistic. In the history of the Earth, we have chosen a geological map of the region of Murcia. We can analyze the geological events. We also have stratigraphic columns related to fossils with time, with solution in time, and with the present orthophoto here in Murcia. We can interpret the landscape unrelated to sociology. This is very simple, but because just changing the slide on a orthophoto, which is that of in the mountain chains at the north west, we see geological process. We can find ancient oysters and shells due to the sea intrusions. Also, the plate tectonics and its manifestations, and this is UMS, in which and also a map for the location and frequency of earthquake. I don't know if you can see the points of the earthquakes, but a team of an institute, what you can see here is the relationship between dorsals and the volcanic areas, and then we can interpret what is meant by the professor. Is very easy to do. The sequencing, according to once we have seen the contents, we can do two sessions. One to one is the didactic unique. They can play with the program, and the other one is just in order to assess the students in spite that previous weeks could have other contents. And this is a sample of questionnaire for the modeling of the Earth relief, and that's done once the student has been playing with this a bit, so that he's familiar to this, and that helps the students to establish relationships, because it's not just signaling with your finger a given event, but establishing links between the different places. As I mentioned, a series of fossils which are far from the sea can help us to study the different strata, the different of the sediments, and how they have changed in the region of Murcia, and the tectonic of the plates tectonics can also help us, and they know the information, and either they can mention it, or at least they will know where they can find reliable sources. These are the keys. The innovative nature of the questions, which is a game, and which is a learning process, although this depends on the professor, that depends on the proposal, and the sources. Well, we want them to know at least the basis, so that they do not arrive at the university without the necessary knowledge. I'm going to summarize and know which are the conclusions inside this practice or practical work. After developing this, the assimilation of contents is easier if you interact with an SIG than with the traditional methodologies in the classroom due to this motivation, because they can play with the computer, because this is much nicer and amusing, and the learning is more significant. And that is framed within constructivism. Constructivism is a psychopedagogical theory based on the fact that learners implement their learning process best through themselves. That means in an active manner. That's why it's called constructivism. We overcome the idea of the student as somebody who is passive and has to assimilate it. And instead of that, the student can take the contents, handle it, manage and appropriate that contents so that is significant for him or her. And then this is an updated learning. And this is highly pragmatic. And WMS are feasible in education due to the interface and the easy handling, because we didn't make them do any sextants or anything similar to this, so just activating, deactivating ledgers, making them less transparent and putting one over another. And we also see that this is applicable to any subject at any level, not only in the university world or in the research world. This has not been developed, and we see that we still have a long way to go. And as this has been specified in a real practice, we want to promote the use of SIG in the classroom, especially for the professors, the teachers. Sometimes they fear the use of this tool, and that can, well, we're not going to say replace, but that can complement the traditional learning process that takes place inside the classrooms. And we'll be very pleased to answer any questions or hear any comments you may have for us. Thank you.
Gracias, Carlos y Daniel.